Welcome to the 2021 912 Food Pharmacy Program. My name is Liz Juneau and I'm the nutrition educator for the program. So I'll be seeing you on a monthly basis as we stop at the various clinics. So we're going to bring you seasonal produce. So every month we're going to feature different produce. I, along with the other staff members, will have an abundance of selection of the fruits and vegetables. I'm here to actually provide you nutrition education, but also education on maybe how to select the produce, how to clean and store it, how to use it, and just introducing you to things maybe you're not familiar with. So for the month of March, we're featuring different produce such as cabbage, radishes. We'll also have beets and carrots that we'll be featuring. And the beets and carrots are two of the selections we'll have at the clinic stop. So we're going to have a wonderful beet hummus with carrot sticks for you to try. But today we're talking about cabbage and radishes. So first of all, with cabbage. So cabbage is seasonal, usually in spring and summer, but also starting in fall around October. How to select cabbage. You want this is a lovely giant head of cabbage, but you want cabbage that has some weight to it. You want some that has this beautiful color. So it comes in red, it also comes in white and green. You want cabbage that doesn't have a lot of discoloration on it. Cabbage will keep in the refrigerator. You usually want to have it in a plastic bag for about up to 7 days. If you cut it, you can also store it in a plastic bag, but it'll only keep probably for about 2 days. How would you use cabbage? Well, cabbage can be eaten raw or cooked. You can chop it, you can finely shred it and use it in salads. You can use it, of course, you can just eat it raw. You can make it in stews and soups. Today we're going to make a recipe with braised cabbage, and braising is just a type of cooking where you use some dry heat and some wet heat. So, nutritionally, so cabbage is low in sodium, it's low in calories, it's high in vitamin C. So the other produce that we're featuring this month is radishes, and radishes are available spring, summer, and fall. So they have a long growing season. So we have a nice selection of beautiful radishes here. These are actually called French breakfast radishes. So they're a little different looking. And we're also talking about a little bit about trivia. So we'll be providing that in your cookbook as well as the stops. So the Pennsylvania Dutch actually had radishes for breakfast often, and in some cultures like Japan, they still do eat radishes for breakfast. Kind of interesting trivia. We have some more traditional radish shape here, but these are a little bit smaller, and then some here as well with some different colors, some beautiful red colors. So radishes typically are pink and white. Sometimes the pink is toward the end and the white is closer to the stem. Many times they'll come with the greens attached. So when selecting radishes, you want them to be firm. You don't want them to be spongy. A few of these are a little bit on the spongy side because you want them very crisp. They're almost always going to be served raw. So how would you use a radish? Well, you can use it as a snack. You can certainly use it on a vegetable tray. You can use it in salads. They have a nice, like I said, peppery flavor, and they should be crisp. So even if they come with the greens, you want to cut the greens off prior to storage. You can store them in a plastic bag in the refrigerator, and they should last to about up to a week. Nutrition-wise, because they have this beautiful color, they're high in antioxidants, they're also high in vitamin C, they're going to be low in calories and low in sodium. So you're also going to be receiving this wonderful cookbook, the participant cookbook. So in it is going to be all the recipes from the featured produce. But we also have a place for you to journal. So why would you want to journal? Well, journaling is just a way to capture your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior to learn a little bit more about yourself. So at the end of each month, there's a place to actually write in the cookbook. So some of the questions that we'll be asking you are things like, why did you join the 912 Food Pharmacy program? Maybe what a good food memory is, or what a food that would be challenging for you. So feel free to write, to engage in your book, and then come back and we'll talk about that. You're also going to be receiving a monthly newsletter. So as we've been talking about today, as far as selection, cleaning and storage, and how to use and nutrition, you're going to be receiving that in our monthly newsletter at each stop. We're also going to be talking about mindful eating. And mindful eating is just being present, eating with intention and attention. And we're going to be having a mindful eating practice for you for each month. So for this month, we're going to be talking about using all your senses in actually selecting produce. So mindful eating doesn't start when we sit down to eat. It actually can start with a selection of food. So it's things like looking, the visual things we look at in food, maybe the weight, the shape, the size, even using your sense of smell to select food. So that's the practice for this month, just in selection. So for this recipe, we need actually a small head of cabbage or a half of a large head. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the leaves on the outside initially, and then we're going to wash it really good. Rinse that off. Use a couple of more leaves. So you want to do this right before you're ready to use it. So the Bavarian braised cabbage uses a half of a larger cabbage, or like I said, a small cabbage. We're also going to be using one onion that's going to be sliced, and we're going to actually be coarsely chopping the cabbage. It also calls for 3 tablespoons of sugar, a clove of garlic that's been crushed, of course some salt and pepper we're going to put in there. We're going to use some olive oil to actually saute the onion and garlic in and the cabbage. And then we're going to use some water, but you can also use broth. If you want to make it vegan, you would use some vegetable broth. If not, you can use something like a chicken broth. And then we're also going to use some caraway seeds. And this is going to give it a really kind of pungent taste, a spicy taste. And we have an optional vinegar to add to it as well. That's pretty coarsely chopped. So the recipe calls for 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I have 2 tablespoons here, so we're going to put it in the pot there. And then we have the sliced onions. We used a white onion here. You can of course use a yellow onion as well, and we sliced them kind of thinly. So I'm going to put that in the pot and hear it sizzle. So we're just going to saute these for a few minutes. Now we're going to add the sugar. And we're going to do something called caramelizing, which is bringing out more of the sugars in the onions. And let that cook a minute. A little bit higher. And then we're going to add the cabbage. And we've got it coarsely chopped here. And of course, it's going to cook down. That's enough there. And then we're going to add the garlic. We're going to add the caraway seeds. We're going to put some pepper. We've got some freshly ground pepper here. We're going to put some salt. And then we're going to add the water. I'll just pour it out of here. Like I said, it's a cup of water. We can give that a stir. And then we're going to put the top on it and just let it cook down. Okay, so the cabbage has cooked for about 30 minutes. The full-time preparation of this dish is about 55 minutes. It's going to serve 4 very generous portions. So it's been cooking down, as you can see. You can also see the beautiful color of the white, the green cabbage, the onions, the caraway seeds here. If you want, you can add additionally some vinegar. So I have about a tablespoon here of white vinegar. So we're just going to put that in. And that is optional. The other thing that's optional is to thicken up the sauce a little bit. So you can make what's called a slurry. You could take some cornstarch, 1 to 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, dissolve it in cold water, and then add it at the end and just stir it into the hot liquid and kind of thicken it up a little bit. We're not going to do that today, but let's plate this up. So it does smell wonderful. I can smell the caraway seeds. And then of course the cabbage. Okay, and now we'll taste. So there you have it, Bavarian braised cabbage. Taste a little bit of it. Definitely taste the sweetness, the caramelized onions and the cabbage. The caraway seeds give it a lovely taste. They're a little citrusy, a little taste like a little bit like licorice, but they definitely add flavor to the dish. So try it. So I hope you try our recipe for Bavarian braised cabbage for this month. It would be great for St. Patrick's Day. You can use it as a side for something like corned beef, and I think it would just match lovely with that. So just a reminder, when you get your vouchers, you can use them at the clinic stop, but you don't have to. They will last for the entire month, so you can spread them out. You can also use them at the Saturday Farmers Market, the Forsyth Farmers Market, and then there are 12 other locations in the community where the farm truck will be, so you can certainly use them there.